Today with me is Andrej Majcen, a legend in the crypto valley.
2013, you can imagine there were not too many interested parties. It was difficult to figure out how can we actually earn money in that kind of industry, where is a need for it and so on. But we quickly figured out that Bitcoin and the whole blockchain industry at that time was lacking trust. All the platforms out there were super anonymous. You didn't really know who sits behind them. So we had the groundbreaking idea of creating a Swiss shareholder company, first kind of seal of a trustworthy firm, then with a physical address, with a phone number where people can actually call you, they can come by and actually meet people in the crypto space. That was quite groundbreaking. So that was the beginning then of a venture, or an adventure that started under the name Bitcoin Suisse.
Hello and welcome to Let's Talk About Tech, your podcast on venture capital and private equity, brought to you by Venionaire Capital, the entrepreneurial partners. Today with me is an amazing guest from Switzerland, Andrej Majcen, co-founder of Bitcoin Suisse, a legend in the crypto valley. Great to have you, Andrej.
Thank you very much, Bertolt. Thanks.
It's amazing to have somebody here that was actually at the forefront and, part of building the crypto valley as we know it today, the epicenter of crypto in Switzerland. How did that come? How did you find this technology, this business as yours? How did you become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and it goes back to the days where we were at the university. So together with a friend of mine who is also a co-founder of Bitcoin Suisse, we studied economics and finance at the University of St. Gallen. And my friend's father, actually, he had a numismatic kind of coin store. And my friend thus already was involved in discussions around money, and he was fascinated by the idea and so on. And at the same time at the university, we learned everything about centralized financial systems. And he then stumbled upon Bitcoin as a decentral form of money. He was super fascinated about that. He told me about the idea. I got fascinated about it because coming directly out of the financial crisis, studying centralized financial systems, we were both very curious to figure out how decentral form of money can actually work and what does it mean. And then at one point we looked at the Gartner hype cycle at one of the lectures at the university in 2013, and we did not really find blockchain technology, Bitcoin, or anything related to that on the hype cycle. So we thought, it's probably still very early stage, and it might be a good investment to invest into this kind of blockchain technology, or actually Bitcoin that was around at that time. That led us then to figure out where could we acquire some Bitcoin. Fabian at that time, he found Niklas, who is actually our main founder, who had the idea of creating some sort of a crypto startup. And then he did not just sell Fabian a couple of Bitcoin, but he also offered him a student job. We work like half a day per week at a company called Bitcoin Suisse. I 2 weeks later also had the same idea. So I bought some Bitcoin as well from Niklas, got the same job offered, and one thing led to another. So we started all at Bitcoin Suisse. We all did it in a part-time mandate in the early days. 2013, you can imagine there were not too many interested parties. It was difficult to figure out how can we actually earn money in that kind of industry, where is a need for it and so on. But we quickly figured out that Bitcoin and the whole blockchain industry at that time were lacking trust and some sort of reputable counterparties. So all the platforms out there were super anonymous. You didn't really know who sits behind them. So we had the groundbreaking idea of creating the Swiss shareholder company, first kind of stamp or seal of a trustworthy firm, then with a physical address, with a phone number where people can actually call you, they can come by and actually meet people in person, everything that you would take for granted, like in a traditional kind of company, but in the crypto space, that was quite groundbreaking. So that was the beginning then of a venture or an adventure that started under the name Bitcoin Suisse.
It's an amazing story. I've never heard of somebody that bought a product of the company he started to work for. So by first purchase and then started working there. I should be selling funds before people start your internships.
Yeah, would be a good start. You see that the interests are aligned.
Yeah.
But that was the initial kind of gateway to the idea. But of course, it was very difficult to figure out some sort of a business model that actually works at that time.
No, clearly makes a lot of sense. Do you still have your first Bitcoin that you acquired?
Most likely not.
Okay.
Most likely not, because I was a student at that time. I had 2 other student jobs to finance myself through the university years. And I was just curious to, on one side, find out more about decentral form of money and the inner workings of Bitcoin. On the other side, I was also fascinated about actually doing in practice what we learned in theory at the university. So also that was fascinating for us, and it was the inner motivation, besides, of course, working together with a lot of very skilled and interesting people as well.
How did your role evolve? I mean, Bitcoin Suisse, right, today is a massive operation. And when you started, it was a few people, I would assume.
Yeah.
So how did your role evolve, and what were the entrepreneurial challenges that you were facing?
That's a very good question, and could give you a very long answer. But I mean, at the beginning, all 3 of us, all the 3 founders, we worked part-time. We had our other kind of, let's say, normal job, so to say. And
so like an income job.
Exactly, yeah. So at the same time, we at one point had to focus on where to set priorities. And when we saw some sort of positive momentum also coming in the direction of the crypto space, we started to, let's say, reduce the capacity on the other jobs, focus more on Bitcoin Suisse, because we realized either we do this all in or it will never work out. And that's actually what we did. So at the beginning, I was working as an account manager. I mean, we all did. Then we did some sort of trading in 2014 to not just have, let's say, the physical office and the phone number. We also realized in order to get more, let's say, trust from the critics around that time was regulation. So we saw regulation as an enabler actually for business and to get rid of this kind of shady image that crypto had at that time. So we actually applied under a self-regulatory umbrella in Switzerland in 2014. So we became the first AML-regulated crypto financial institution in Switzerland because we saw this really as an enabler. So I then helped to build up the compliance framework around that. Later on, I was responsible for the operations, later on client management, then international expansion, and now as the group CEO, basically a little bit for everything.
Wow, it's amazing. How many people are you today?
A little bit more than 200, yeah.
And obviously headquarter is in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And where else is Bitcoin Suisse active?
So the main headquarters is still Switzerland. Then we have 2 tech hubs, one actually pretty close here in Bratislava, the other one in Denmark, building a 3rd one in Hungary. Then we have an office in Liechtenstein, exploring, let's say, the MiCAR framework, another one in Abu Dhabi, and another one will be opened very shortly, in an offshore jurisdiction. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. And how do you see your business evolving? I mean, there's you said Liechtenstein exploring MiCAR regulation. Today, everybody's speaking about, obviously the US administration being positive on crypto. Some news more, some news less, right? It depends a little bit, I would say, within the two weeks time frame where the mood is, right? On the other hand, we have the European Union that has a very clear legal framework established. There is a new tax framework on European and on OECD level. And UAE seems to now also be very closely aligned off the FATF list, right? Accepted as a legitimate financial hub, definitely a rising hub. How is this evolving? Where is this heading? Is the financial industry taking over decentralized finance?
I think, that was my opinion from the day one. I think it's probably one will not directly take over the other one, but both will approach each other. So I think that's a normal kind of evolution of the traditional financial system, but also of crypto becoming more mainstream, so to say. When it comes to the UAE, they had one of the first actually regulatory frameworks for crypto. I think they established it in 2019 or 18 even.
Oh, so, wow.
It's already a while ago. And by now, all the big names are represented that. So also we decided at one point that while we are very proud and happy for the Swiss kind of heritage and being a first mover and the support that we got from Switzerland and Zug, especially as a canton, we also realized that the music starts to play in other jurisdictions as well. And UAE was one of them that opened up pretty early on that. A lot of the crypto firms moved there and created also jobs and added substance to the local environment. US, you mentioned, of course, you cannot neglect that. Music at the moment is definitely playing there. So we're also exploring what kind of ways can we find to not just observe that, but maybe to build up some sort of an exposure. I mean, all super interesting topics. So I think while Switzerland had the first mover advantage, others have not been sleeping and took their homework extremely serious. And we just try to globally and diversify, so to say, and build in those kind of hubs where we see the biggest growth.
How about the fundamental value? I mean, a lot of people say Bitcoin is just store of value. Web3 is the next generation of the internet. There is a lot more fundamental value, right, in the Web3 than just an asset that is being traded. And then there's others that just say, banks were just looking for the next asset class to come. Yeah. And this is basically just the next revolution, new asset class for finance. What is it really? Is it the next generation internet? Is it an asset for finance?
I think it's a mix of both, or all three actually. So Bitcoin, after so many years, has established itself, I think, as a very credible form of digital money. It's maybe a little bit less the digital cash because it's still not really used too frequently for transactions, or let's say for purchases, for example. Stablecoins on the other side do exactly that. So I think they start to fulfill this kind of transaction medium, and Bitcoin on the other side is probably rather a store of value at the moment. And once the volatility is coming down, and I mean that happens almost on a weekly basis now, I think over time also Bitcoin will be used for transactions. Web3, of course, is advancing also by the day. On the other side, I mean, we see the traditional financial system that has its kind of deficiencies in a way that transactions still take days or weeks, even if you do international transactions. So sometimes you can send a physical letter and it's faster on the other side than a bank wire, which is a little bit absurd, right? And centralized systems are still controlled by a few. You can print trillions out of nowhere. Apparently without an effect on the inflation rate and so on, while in blockchains that is defined by a protocol, by code at the end of the day. So there's still a lot of, let's say, absurdities associated to the traditional financial system that blockchain technology and crypto in general is like solving already quite efficiently. Again, the store of value kind of narrative with Bitcoin, the transaction narrative with stable coins, and of course all the developments in the Web3 space with all the other layer 1s and layer 2s that are slowly starting to build and solve real world use cases, be it on the DeFi side, but also like in more kind of niche use cases.
I mean, you're clearly there since almost day one, right? And deep into the topic. And I'm sure you could spend hours in explaining what kind of sectors exist within crypto, etc. For somebody, let's say, I made a few million and I want to invest smart into the next generation of the internet. Could I just come to Bitcoin Suisse and say, I want to speak to a wealth manager? Or do you partner with banks? Like, how would I get access to proper, secure crypto investments, not just Bitcoin?
Yeah.
What do you have?
That's basically our main business since day one. So we have not been creating our own exchange, but we have been aggregating the different exchanges into one. So we act as a single counterparty for clients, but on the other side, we do the execution across around 10 to 15 exchanges and OTC desks. So clients benefit from us as a Swiss regulated and 12-year-old company as a counterparty. And in the background, we basically do the routing to all the different exchanges. We're also a custodian and one of the largest staking providers. So, I mean, those kind of, let's say, services we offer to all our clients, while we focus more on professional and institutional clients. We have like an entry threshold of around 50K to provide our services to. And on the other side, we're building up an asset management hub as well in order to go a little bit more concrete into those kind of services, because so far we do execution only, but slowly we're also expanding into that.
Okay, so far no advisors, right, that will help you.
Yeah.
But more and more banks, I hear that that are partnering with you.
Exactly. So we partner with banks for that, but we also have our research where we basically provide like the latest content of what is happening in the crypto market, so clients can be educated about their own decisions. So again, we don't do financial advice, but we leave that to the clients. But of course, we're happy to assist them.
Yeah, makes total sense. The whole financial environment, I mean, in private banking, right, in Switzerland, is known as one of the most secure places, right, where you can have or where you can bank. Now, you explained me before this interview that in comparison to other exchanges and brokers, there is actually really a security mechanism. Money cannot be lost at Bitcoin Suisse. So if I work with you, you basically back that up or kind of guarantee that my money will never be lost in an insolvency, for example.
Yeah, in Switzerland, we operate with a so-called bank guarantee. So whenever we keep, let's say, fiat accounts from or deposits from clients, it's also covered by a bank guarantee on our end. So it's actually 100% covered, not just with the client funds, but also with our funds in the background. So that's one thing. But the other more relevant kind of mechanism is actually Swiss law. So if you segregate client funds, for example, on individual blockchain addresses, it's per default actually bankruptcy-remote. So it will never be part of a bankruptcy mess also if nothing else happens like to the firm or so on. So clients in Switzerland, they really benefit from the protection of their assets by law that has been established. Yeah.
Which is great. And thank you for also letting me know that this is not the usual system. This is very Swiss.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty Swiss. Of course, other players around, especially exchanges and so on, they probably apply different mechanics to secure client funds. But of course, transparency is always key, and that has been one of the elements that we see as a USP on our end.
Yeah, and I mean with the coins rising in value, right? I mean obviously wealth rises, and you want to make sure that you're not losing, right, here on the dynamics. If you look a little bit into the future, I mean obviously you've been in this for quite a while. Where are we heading? Are you one of those people that says Bitcoin will reach 1 million or more? Where are we heading?
Also, a very good question. I mean, while I cannot give any financial advice and it's difficult to predict the future, I mean, the scenario that Bitcoin probably at one point will approximate the market cap of gold, I don't think it's completely unrealistic, especially in the digital age where AIs and agents probably will do a lot of financial transactions and decisions in the future. Crypto and blockchain technology is just more native and close to them than, let's say, physical gold, where the industrial, let's say, use cases are also limited to a certain extent. And of course, use it for jewelry and so on, but it has its limitations, right? So I truly believe that that's the entire market cap of the crypto industry will grow for sure. Will it be volatile until then? Most likely, yes. But I think by now, or I at least don't believe that the 4-year kind of crypto cycles are that relevant anymore, because now it has reached some sort of a market cap and it's more dominated by other forces that are on a more macroeconomic kind of level and related to those cycles, potentially even the election cycles, for example, in the US and so on, than just crypto only. Because with the institutional adoption, I think it has also led to some sort of stability overall, because the market cap increased. So in that kind of regard, I'm quite optimistic for the future, but it will be still a choppy ride, I could imagine.
Is there a chance for our audience that one day in the future, be it in 5, 10, 20, or maybe 50 years, that one day Bitcoin Suisse is a listed company on a stock exchange, or will you always keep it private?
I guess one has to see what are the benefits, let's say, of a listed company versus a privately held company. I think both sides have their pros and cons, but I would not rule anything out, so to say.
Now, this is something that could make you a fortunate partner. keep an eye on Bitcoin Suisse, become a client, reach out to Andrej. Very nice guy, as you have recognized. Thank you for joining me here in this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tune in for our next episode. Cheers, guys.